All right, let's talk about one of the most useful tools you can have in Spanish, how to describe what's happening right this very second. When you want to talk about an action that's literally in progress, well, this is exactly the grammar you're going to need. So let's just frame it with this question. In English, it's simple, right? We say, I am talking. It's immediate. But how do you get that exact same feeling, that in-the-moment vibe, in Spanish? That's what we're about to break down. And here's our game plan. We'll start with what this tense actually does. Then we'll build the main formula. After that, we'll get into some of those tricky irregular verbs, figure out where to stick object pronouns, and finally, we'll look at how to get a little fancier by going beyond the basic verb estar. Okay, first things first. What is happening now? Let's get right to the heart of what this tense is all about and what its real job is in a sentence.
The number one thing to burn into your brain is this. The present progressive is for actions happening at the very moment of speaking. It's the ultimate right now tense. So it's not for things you do often. It's for what you are doing in this exact second.
Now, here's a little quirk that often trips people up. In English, we might say, I am coming. But in Spanish, especially with common motion verbs like ir to go and venir to come, you'll almost always just use the simple present. So you just say, voy con Laura. It's a small change, but trust me, it'll make your Spanish sound so much more natural. All right, let's get into the mechanics of how to build this thing. And the good news is, it's a really straightforward recipe. There are just two main ingredients. So here's the two-step formula. First, you take the verb estar, which you probably know means to be, and you just conjugate it for whoever you're talking about, estoy, estás, está, and so on. Step two, you add the present participle of the main verb, the action word. And that's it. Estar plus a participle. So, how do you make that second part, the present participle? Well, it follows a super simple pattern. For regular AR verbs, like hablar, you just chop off the AR and add endo, so you get hablando. And for both ER and IR verbs, like comer and vivir, you do the same thing. Drop the ending and add yendo. So estoy hablando means I am talking, and está comiendo means he is eating. Simple as that.
Of course, you knew this was coming, right? It wouldn't be Spanish grammar without a few exceptions. So let's meet some of the most common rule breakers you'll run into all the time.
As our source material points out, a handful of really common verbs have little spelling changes, especially those stem-changing verbs. But don't worry, there aren't a ton of them, and they actually follow their own predictable patterns. Let's look at a few of the big ones. For verbs where the stem ends in a vowel, like leer, to read, that I-endo magically turns into a Y, so it becomes leyendo. Same thing with traer, trayendo. Then you've got your stem changers, like dormir, to sleep, where the O flips to a U, giving you durmiendo. And pedir, to ask for, becomes pidiendo. Okay, so we know how to form the tense. Let's add another layer. What happens when you want to include one of those little object pronouns? Words like it, him, or me. This can seem tricky, but the good news is you actually get a choice. You have two totally valid options. Let's make this real with a question. Imagine you want to say, she is listening to it. You know she is listening is está escuchando, and you know the pronoun for it is lo. So, where do you put that lo? Okay, option one. You can place the object pronoun before the entire verb phrase. It just slides right in front of the conjugated form of estar. So you get, Alicia lo está escuchando. Now for option two. You can actually attach the pronoun directly to the end of the present participle itself. Check this out. Juan está leyéndolo. See how lo is just glued right onto the end? Now, the crucial thing to see here is that you often need to add an accent mark. Why? To make sure the word keeps its original stress. And here is the absolute best part. Both of these options are 100% correct. You can say, lo estoy haciendo or estoy haciéndolo, and you're good to go. It is totally your call. You just pick whichever one sounds or feels better in the moment. All right, for our last section, let's get a little more advanced. Estar is definitely the main verb for this, but you can add a ton of flavor and precision to your Spanish by swapping in a couple of other verbs. Think of it this way. Estar just tells you what is happening. It's neutral. But if you use andar, it adds this nuance of someone going around doing something, maybe all the time. And if you use seguir, It means someone keeps on or is still doing that action. These examples show the difference perfectly. Él anda pidiendo favores feels totally different from just saying he's asking for a favor now. It implies it's a habit, maybe even an annoying one. And yo sigo viviendo en París is the absolute perfect way to say you're still living in Paris, really emphasizing that the action continues. So let's wrap it all up with the key things to remember. For actions happening right now, your go-to formula is estar plus that ando or yendo verb form. Always keep an eye out for those common irregulars like leer becoming leyendo. When it comes to object pronouns, you've got two choices, before estar or attached to the end. And hey, if you want to sound even more fluent, use andar and seguir to add that extra layer of meaning.
Okay, your turn. I want you to look around you, right now, wherever you are. What's one thing that's happening? A person, an object, anything. Try to describe it in a full Spanish sentence using the present progressive. Seriously, go for it. Putting it to use immediately is the absolute best way to make it stick.